Hello, sue.oneschuk here, continuing the workbook lessons of A Course in Miracles. And today we are on lesson 167. There is one life, and that I share with God. This is another long lesson, so let's just take these words in. Again, the lesson is there is one life, and that I share with God. It says there are no different kinds of life, for life is like the truth. It does not have degrees. It is the one condition in which all that God created share. Like all his thoughts, it has no opposite. There is no death because what God created shares his life. There is no death because an opposite to God does not exist. There is no death because the Father and the Son are one. So this is totally the opposite to the ego thought system. You know, and the ego is all fearful thoughts. It's a call for death. It's the separation. There's no life there in the ego thought system. And God is absent there. And there's no truth there. It says there are no different kinds of life, for life is like the truth. The ego, there is no life there. And it's forgiveness which undoes all this. The ego is like a death magnet, draws all that non-life towards us as we continue to live in that ego thought system. So if we value anything in the ego, then we're truly not living, because we are separated from God in the ego thought system. And we're living the illusion and living the dream. We're asleep. So it goes on to say, in this world, there appears to be a state that is life's opposite. We call it death, and just explain that in terms of the ego. Yet we have learned that the idea of death takes many forms. It is the one idea which underlies all feelings that are not supremely happy. It is the alarm to which you give response of any kind that is not perfect joy. Whatever is not perfect joy. All sorrow, loss, anxiety, and suffering and pain, even a little sigh of weariness, a slight discomfort, or the merest frown, acknowledge death. That's all a lack of love. And thus, you deny to live. You think that death is of the body, yet it is but an idea, irrelevant to what is seen as physical. I'm going to say that again. You think that death is of the body, yet it is but an idea, irrelevant to what is seen as physical. A thought is in the mind. It can be then applied as mind directs it. But its origin is where it must be changed. If change occurs, the origin is in the mind. Ideas leave not their source, the mind. The emphasis this course has placed on that idea is due to its centrality in our attempts to change your mind about yourself. It is the reason you can heal. It is the cause of healing. It is why you cannot die. Its truth established you as one with God. Death is the thought that you are separate from your Creator. That all equals the guilt that you feel. Again, we feel guilty because we believe that we're separate from God. It says it is the belief conditions change. It is the belief conditions change. Emotions alternate because of causes you cannot control, you did not make, and you could never change. It is the fixed belief ideas can leave their source and take on qualities the source does not contain, becoming different from their own origin, apart from it in kind as well as distant time and form. I'm going to read that whole paragraph again. Just take in the words again. It said, death is the thought that you are separate from your creator. Again, it is the belief. Conditions change. Emotions alternate because of causes you cannot control, you do not make, and you can never change. It is the fixed belief. Ideas can leave their source and take on qualities the source cannot contain, becoming different from their own origin, apart from it in kind as well as distance, time, and form. Death cannot come from life. Ideas remain united to their source. They can extend all that their source contains. In that, they can go far beyond themselves. But ideas cannot give birth to what was never given them. As they are made, so will their making be. As they were born, so will they then give birth. And where the ideas come from, there they will return. The mind can think it sleeps, but that is all. It cannot change what is its waking state. It cannot make a body nor abide within a body. What is alien to the mind that we share with God, does not exist because it has no source. For mind creates all things that are and cannot give them attributes it lacks, nor change its own eternal mindful state. It cannot make the physical. What seems to die is but the sign of mind asleep. The opposite of life can only be another form of life. As such, it can be reconciled with what created it because it is not opposite in truth. Its form may change. It may appear to be what it is not. Yet mind is mind, awake or sleeping. It is not its opposite in anything created, nor in what it seems to make when it believes it sleeps. Death is the sign of a sleeping mind. God creates only mind awake. He does not sleep, and his creations cannot share what he gives not, nor make conditions which he does not share with them. The thought of death is not the opposite to thoughts of life, forever unopposed by opposites of any kind. The thoughts of God remain forever changeless and with the power to extend forever changelessly, but yet within themselves, for they are everywhere. What seems to be the opposites of life is merely sleeping. When the mind elects to be what it is not, and to assume an alien power which it does not have, a foreign state it cannot enter, or a false condition not within its source, it merely seems to go to sleep a while. It dreams of time, an interval in which what seems to happen never has occurred. The changes wrought are substanceless, and all events are nowhere. When the mind awakes, it but continues as it always was. Let us today be children of truth, and not deny our holy heritage. Our life is not as we imagine it. Who changes life because he shuts his eyes or makes himself what he is not because he sleeps and sees and dreams an opposite to what he is, we will not ask for death in any form today. Nor will we let imagined opposites to life abide even an instant where the thought of eternal has been set by God himself. His holy home we strive to keep today as he established it and wills it to be forever and forever. He is Lord of what we think today, and in his thoughts, which have no opposite, we understand there is one life that we share with him, with all creation, with their thoughts as well, what he created in a unity of life that cannot separate in death and leave source of life from where it came. We share one life because we have one source, a source from which perfection comes to us, remaining always in the holy minds which he created perfect. As we were, so are we now and will forever be. A sleeping mind must waken as it sees its own perfection, mirroring the Lord of life so perfectly, it fades into what it is reflected there. And now it is no more a mere reflection. It becomes the thing reflected and the light which makes reflection possible. No vision now is needed, for the wakened mind is one that knows its source, itself, its holiness. I'm going to read that last line again. For the awakened mind is one that knows its source, itself, its holiness. I'm going to give a reflection here in a moment, but it's really important that, we read these lessons over and over and, let the words sink in. This is practicing contemplating these words and not trying to understand how it is possible. Just something I wanted to add there that I heard today. So we're going to do a little bit further reflection from the workbook companion, and this lesson 163 said that death takes many forms. So the attraction to death that was spoken of in the obstacles to peace in the text in chapter 19 reflects all those forms. And this lesson lists, a few more of them. It says here in paragraph 2, yet you have learned that the idea of death takes many forms. It is the one idea which underlies all feelings that are not supremely happy. It is the alarm to which you give response of any kind that is not perfect joy. All sorrow, loss, anxiety and suffering and pain, even a little sigh of weariness, a slight discomfort, or the merest frown acknowledge death, and thus deny you live. So what is death then? Again, it says it's any feeling that is not supremely happy, any response to anything in our life that is not perfect joy. So can you see how anything less than supreme happiness and perfect joy is a denial of life and an affirmation of death? So to be less than perfectly joyful is to assert that there is something other than God, other than life, other than love, something other that dilutes the radiant being of God. It says here, we need to start noticing just how much the idea of death influences us. We need to notice those little sighs of weariness, those twinges of anxiety, and recognize that the idea of death underlies them all. The idea that separation from God is real. We believe it's real. We believe in it. That something other than God exists. All if it is opposing and nullifying God, the radiance of God. So we need to notice how we believe we are that something other, or at least a part of it. So again, it's only when you recognize that you are responsible for those death thoughts that you can truly understand that they have no reality except in your own mind. To affirm that they have no reality without first taking responsibility for them is an unhealthy denial. So saying that it's all an illusion without truly knowing that you are the illusionist, excuse me, you make the idea of death into something real, something to be fought against and repressed. So the same principle operates when people say, I'm trying to see the Christ in him. You can't try to see Christ in a person. You either do or you don't. So when your eyes are open and nothing is in the way, you don't have to try to see. You just see. So saying remind us that spiritual vision is the same. Christ is there in every person, and you are quite capable of seeing him there. The problem is you've erected many barriers, many screens that block your sight. That's all the ego thought system. And you're seeing the reflection of your own ideas instead of seeing who the person really is, which is Christ. So what you're doing in the process of the course recommends, again, looking at the ego and its thoughts of death, identifying them for yourself, and denying or deciding, not denying, deciding to ignore them because they come from an undependable source, your ego. And it's it's tuning out the static. So it says to keep doing that and to clear the signal of Christ's vision, and the clear signal of Christ's vision will come through. And it is there. Christ's vision is there. It's there right now. You just have to hear it from all the noise that the ego is making. And let's remember, if you do not recognize the Christ in yourself, that's the barrier. You're not going to see the Christ in another. So, all right, that's what I want to say today. And that is lesson 167, which is there is one life that I share with God. All right. Thank you again for being here, and please like, comment, share, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. And I look forward to being with you in the next video for lesson 168. And from my heart to yours, I extend you much love. Have a love-filled day. Bye for now.